This is the Barbados Today morning news for Wednesday, November 6th. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Our top story, members of the Rastafarian faith will soon be allowed to legally use cannabis for religious purposes. Attorney General Dale Marshall told Parliament on Tuesday that Cabinet has approved the legislation and he will soon be seeking parliamentary approval. Speaking during debate on the medicinal cannabis industry bill, Marshall said it would be a breach of the Rastafarians' constitutional rights for government to continue to prohibit them from using the herb for religious purposes.
In the same way that we go where the science takes us, we have to go where the law requires. Now, the details, we've begun some consultations with that faith. And yes, sir, we understand that there will be some people who will try to find a way of using that system. But you know, sir, that is no excuse for denying a person his fundamental human rights, sir.
Marshall added that the decision was taken in the interest of religious tolerance.
Because this whole idea of religious intolerance and standing in judgment over who is right and who is wrong, sir, has prevailed across the modern world for 1 day, 1 year, 1 decade, 100 years, too many. Now, I have no doubt that there are people who will probably, I don't know, call down hellfire and damnation on this particular position. But I believe, sir, that it is solid in terms of constitutional theory. It is the right position in terms of constitutional rights. And, sir, at the end of it all, it is the right and decent thing to do.
Workmen from Williams Industries and Jose y Jose have started demolishing the remains of the Fairchild Street Market ahead of a major state-sponsored redevelopment project. But vendors plying their trade in substandard conditions nearby say they are concerned about a glaring lack of engagement from authorities over the improvements. Kareem Smith has that story.
Work has officially started on a spanking new vendors market here at Fairchild Street, the city. It has been met with tremendous optimism from dozens of vendors working in conditions that are less than ideal, but they're also demanding a bit more clarity and a bit more engagement from authorities about the full extent of the changes. Some vendors, taxi drivers and other small business owners are hopeful the development will result in improvements to their now deplorable and sometimes unsanitary conditions.
It got good experience working around here because it's a busy place, but the filthiness and the rats and the piss and the smells disgusting. So that's the bad thing about over here. Over here it needs tidying up. I'm glad it tidying up.
For others, the deafening silence from authorities is concerning.
That project is going to bring new fresh air, fresh environment, fresh everything. New facilities, toilets, washroom, everything. So that's what it's all about. I hope that those are in the plans too. But I guess I haven't seen the plans. That's my problem, right? But I can only speak from what was being going around bits and bits and bits. Right? But I guess the new facilities should have in all those things. And I welcome new changes, the new facilities. But what is not tasty about it is that they haven't cancelled us and called any meeting. We should be cancelling and draw out a meeting to update us about these plans.
It will be a tourist attraction because you know a lot of tourists really walk the street of Bridgetown and they're always looking for something local. And then we sell the beers and so reasonables for like 4 for 10 and that what will attract the tourists because giving the tourists to them a really reasonable opportunity and cheaper things, that is what will bring them back to us. So that's what we're really looking for.
While officials from Jose y Jose and Williams Industries were on the ground when a Barbados Today team visited, they refused to comment on the development, which is reportedly being facilitated by the Urban Development Commission and the Ministry of Agriculture. Efforts to reach officials from both departments have been unsuccessful. Kareem Smith for Barbados Today.
A mother of 6 and her 7 grandchildren have been evicted from their Evelyn Avenue, Bayland St. Michael home following a court ruling. Alison Adams lost a court battle with her mother, Joyce Adams, who is the caretaker of the house, which was repaired by the Urban Development Commission and under whose name the documents are. Court marshals and police officers were on the scene of the eviction, which began in the morning.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume revelers, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. Dominicans will go to the polls on December 6. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit announced the date last night at a public meeting of his Dominica Labour Party.
The date on which Dominicans shall go to the polls and choose between transformation and change they can see versus talk and inexperience, between experience and experimenting, between safety versus uncertainty, is Friday, the 6th of December 2019. 5 more years.
The incumbent DLP is seeking an unprecedented 5th consecutive term in office. In the last election in 2014, the DLP won 15 votes to the opposition United Workers' Party's 6. On the international scene, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson formally announced a December 12 election. He urged voters to back him, promising to get Brexit done in the next few weeks. Parliament agreed to the early election last week, ending 2 years of deep disagreement over Brexit that has snapped investors' faith in the stability of the world's 5th largest economy and damaged Britain's international standing. And finally, U.S. diplomat Gordon Sondland told a Ukrainian official that his country would likely not get nearly $400 million in security aid unless they pursued investigations demanded by President Donald Trump, revising earlier testimony to the Trump impeachment inquiry. We get more in this Reuters report.
A key witness in the impeachment probe into U.S. President Donald Trump changed his testimony this week to say there was a quid pro quo, that Trump did withhold aid to Ukraine in exchange for investigations into his political rivals. Transcripts released Tuesday show that U.S. Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland testified that, quote, "In the absence of any credible explanation for the suspension of aid, I presumed that the aid suspension had become linked to the proposed anti-corruption statement." Sondland also said he told a Ukrainian presidential advisor that, quote, "Resumption of U.S. aid would likely not occur until Ukraine provided the public anti-corruption statement that we had been discussing for many weeks." That reverses Sondland's initial testimony on Capitol Hill last month, in which he denied knowledge of any link between the aid and Trump's request that Ukraine investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Sondland said he gave the additional testimony after depositions by other officials, including U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Bill Taylor, refreshed his memory. The House of Representatives impeachment investigation is focused on a July 25th phone call in which Trump asked Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to open an investigation into the Bidens.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good morning.